Okay, we are streaming. This is the Colin Show. Today we're talking about gamers. Welcome, gamers. One and all. All manner of gamers are welcome today, and gamer haters. Those who love and hate games. We're talking about all games. All the games in the world. Whatever games you want to talk about. I don't know. I've wanted to do this topic for a while, talk about gaming and gamers, but I've always had this really pessimistic opinion about gamers and gaming. And, in before today, before this morning when I woke up, when everything changed, I was all like, gamers. They're ruining everything. I hate gamer culture. I hate games. Games are for babies, and I'm an adult. But I realized this morning when I woke up, first of all, I'm not an adult. I'm not. I'm a. I don't know what I would consider myself, but it's not an adult. I don't have a job, for one. A real job. That's like the main thing you gotta have as an adult. But I don't really play a ton of games, although to be honest, I've been gaming a little bit lately. But it's just I game as an adult for nostalgia's sake. Really, it's a way to go back to the feeling of like summer in childhood, where there's just nothing going on. I don't have any immediate plans or future planned. I'm not considering anything except for the game I'm playing, the game in front of me. So I was trying to rethink my opinion on gaming and gamers because I don't want to be an old crotchety anti-gaming. I, you know what I'm trying to say. And I was thinking about this recently. It's like, there's going to be all this automation going on in the future. There's going to be all the unskilled labor in the world is eventually going to be automated, I guess. I guess robots are eventually going to do all that. And what are all those people going to do for jobs? And I thought they're going to game. They got to game. We got to broaden and expand and grow the gamer economy, not just for people making games, but for people playing games. We got to pay people to just play games. It can't just be streamers, because that's a whole other. That's a skill set. That's like being a personality. That's being an entertainer. I mean, I wouldn't know. I've never watched a gaming stream. I don't have any proof that they're entertaining, but people seem to like that. That's like its own whole thing. That's some form of media. But what about just the lonely gamer just gaming in his den, in his mom's basement? What about them? They got to get paid too. And who's gonna pay them? I don't know. The government? Am I gonna start? I gotta start a business just paying gamers to game. I don't fully understand the cycle here, but what I know is that gamers got a game, and there's something here about saving all of society by paying the gamers to game. I haven't fully figured it out. Be honest, I just thought of this, and there's maybe some holes in it, but I think we could fix it up together. We could be the new Andrew Yang. Andrew Game, right? The gamer candidate for president. We need a third party here. It's going to be, I don't want to get political, but Trump versus Biden again? Come on. That's not cool. That's weird. We can all admit that that's weird. But without getting political, there should be a gamer candidate for president, and he pays us all to game. You got to think, like, people who are retiring now from jobs, like warehouse jobs, like they had a whole life of working at a warehouse, and that was, and they had to, it was a good job for them, and they made money their whole life doing that. But if like someone is 20 years old and they're trying to get a warehouse job now, that's not gonna be a 40-year career for somebody, because in 40 years, all the warehouses, they're not even gonna be built for humans. They're not even going to even be accessible by humans. There's going to be like a little room that humans can go into to monitor all the robots, but the building itself is going to be built for robots. In my mind, in my imaginary future, which maybe you got your own imaginary future, we can talk about that, but whatever. So anyway, there's just got to be gamers. Gamers got to game. You got to pay gamers to game, and that'll increase the gaming economy, right? You pay the gamers to game, and then they can buy more games, which encourages game makers to make more games. And game making, that's a valid export. It's a cultural, artistic thing. It's interesting. It's a new media. Video games are cool. It's cool. We've had games forever, but they've sucked. They've been fucking boring, or they've required you to have muscles and move your body around, which is not necessary, in my opinion, for the future. Or they require you to do calculations or have the guy to do that for you. The computer game, the video game, is a great invention. It's like this very distilled form of fun where the computer is doing all the boring shit for you, doing all the calculations and making it all fun for you. All you gotta do is press the buttons and get in there, So it's a cool invention, and it's very new, and I think the sky's the limit. So I like video games now. And I think in the future also there's the premise of the future that I operate under is that you're never going to leave your house. And also your house is going to be, like a box, but that's besides the point. But you're going to be in a box that's as big as you approximately, and you're never going to have to leave because there's going to be the whole outside world is going to be built for robots to more efficiently send everything that you need to survive to your box. So you're never going to have to leave your box. And what are you going to be doing in your box all day? Porn and games. But we're not talking about porn today. We're just talking about gamers. But obviously that is an intersection. If we want to be intersectional here, the crossroads of masturbating and gaming is obviously there's a lot of traffic at that crossroads. Okay, anyway. We don't have to talk about specifically about the future, about what I'm talking about. We're just talking about games and gamers and gaming, and what do you think about it? Games in the past versus the present and the future. Maybe you're one of these old guys. Your version of games is like all freaking like just that dot that moves across the screen. Or maybe you're a young person and you got like a whole other idea of games. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for you. So let's just start the calls. You can call in now. The number is 518-288-7938. Is that right? 518-288-7938. We're taking calls about games and gamers and the gamer economy, the gamer culture. Whatever you got to say about gaming, really. I don't care. Maybe you're a game maker. That'd be cool. You get extra points if you've made a game or if you've tried to make a game, but, who's keeping score?
From E-Sweezy.
E-Sweezy, you're on.
Hey, Mr. The Minute Hour. How's it going, my friend?
Good. How are you doing, E-Sweezy?
Oh, I'm doing great. Just picked up some new pack from the city, and I'm pretty high.
Okay. E-Sweezy, every time you call in, you are smoking weed. I don't know what you said. E-pack? Is that a weed thing?
Oh, I said pack, just pack, like
pack.
weed.
A pack of what?
Another word for bud.
Okay, I never heard that one. All right, we're talking about gamers today. How does gamers and weed? What's the cross section there?
Well, a lot of gamers smoke weed. I've been hanging out with this new friend I made. He smokes mad weed, and he games all day. He's actually in Elite Smash Bros.
Like he's ranked or something? He's a competitive player?
Yeah, he's ranked really highly.
Cool. What is he like? What's hanging out with him like? Is he all about Smash Bros, or is that just one of many things he does?
He also likes Halo 4 a lot. He's been trying to get through the campaign on Legendary. I've just been watching him trying to get through it. He's on like the last level.
Smash Bros, Halo 4, weed. What about you?
Yeah,
Do
and
you
streams.
game?
Yeah.
You a
Yes, I
lifelong
do.
gamer?
Yeah, I've been gaming ever since I was in middle school, high school.
So what do you think? What do you? Let me ask you this: What is there a difference in your feeling when you're playing games, like between being in middle school playing games and being what I assume is an adult playing games?
Yes, there's such a difference because when you were in middle school, the next thing you had to worry about is, oh, I got to go to school tomorrow. Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're playing a video game, it's like you're sitting there and you're like, I have to pay my bills. I have to get my car fixed. I have to go apply for that job I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I had blah, 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 blah.
So this is
So there's always that background noise.
virtually all be fixed if you got paid to play video games, right?
That is totally true. If someone wanted to, I could be a streamer, I guess. I guess that's kind of what playing video games for a job is, streaming video games.
I know, but the problem with that is like you also gotta like have a personality and be entertaining and all the time. That's hard. I mean, don't you sometimes just want to play games by yourself and not like be putting on a show?
Well, for me, I've had a past with role playing actually on video games.
Oh,
Just a little bit of Half-Life 2 role play. If you ever played Half-Life 2.
only a very little
Uh,
bit. So how does that work? Do you pretend you're
it
actually
was
in Half-Life?
mostly it was mostly text based on Gary's mod.
Okay.
We would join a server and we would like type out what our motions are, like every move we make and everything we say. It's all typed out and logged, so you can interact with other people. Like it's kind of like we didn't have voice chat really. Well, we had voice chat, but it would get so muddied up. So it would be a lot of text role play. So now, as an adult, I watch a lot of Grand Theft Auto role play, like streamers that do funny characters on Grand Theft Auto that just run around causing mayhem and having fun, like James Randall. Some people watching the stream may know him, James Randall.
Like Grand Theft Auto online, or they're playing single player and like creating a little story, a little role play story.
No, it's more like 5M, which is a mod for Grand Theft Auto 5, which is like a role play mod. Everything is more realistic, like car crashes are more realistic. If you get hurt, you have to call 911. It's kind of like that.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So it's like if you get into a car crash, you have to call the police and wait for them to come and sort out your
Yeah,
insurance or something?
yeah, like you have insurance, a bank, everything.
Oh, that's funny. All right, well, hey, thank you for calling in, Sweezy. Good to hear from you.
Hey, great to be on, Mr. The Minotaur.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
I always feel bad. I hang up in the middle of someone saying whatever. Gaming, call in now, 518-288-7938. We're talking gamers and gaming and, things adjacent to that. Weed. Who's this?
Call from
Matt.
Matt, hello.
Heyo.
Yo, we're talking about gaming today. Are you a gamer?
I like games, and I've gotten more, and it's kind of funny. I've gotten into like watching people play games, which I used to really put people down for doing that. But I kind of am into it a little bit now. But like you say, it really has a lot to do with someone's personality.
Right. Well, is it a combination
it's
a combination of a personality and a game that you want to watch, or is it like if a person is engaging enough, you're going to watch them play anything?
I would say it has more to do with the game, because I will watch playthroughs of games that there's no commentary or anything, especially something I don't really see myself playing, but that I kind of might have been interested in, like the later Resident Evil games. I still like the story, but I just don't see myself putting in the time.
Yeah, I can see that. So you just kind of like, you can peruse the game without having to fully commit to it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's way quicker. They get through these games kind of fast, and I go real slow in games, and it's kind of not fun for me anymore. But I actually had sort of a topic I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
So whenever you start talking about video games, there's always people who, well, I don't know, maybe I'm going about this the wrong way, but you know how people say video games lead to violence, video games lead to people aggression, maybe, or there's that classic talking point.
Yep.
And I think that a lot of gamers get defensive and they say no, or they just have their personality doesn't lend itself to that. Like they're just naturally not aggressive people, violent people. They're not antisocial people. But I have to say that I'm the opposite. I'm someone who actually has gotten kind of like influenced by games and movies, and so I just
in what way? How do you mean specifically?
Well, I would say that for me it's been more movies and shows. Like for instance, I was like really into the Sopranos and mafia stuff, and actually got into some big trouble. Like I'm still on probation for it. I don't know why I'm whispering, but
what happened? The Sopranos inspired you to lead a life of crime?
In a way, yeah. Like I just thought, you know what? It seems like they have a good time. They make money. And it was kind of the same. Like whenever I was a kid, I would play Grand Theft Auto and I would think, man, it's so easy and there's no consequences, you know? But I mean, I'm not like autistic or anything. No offense to anyone who is, but it's not that I don't recognize the reality of life compared to the unreality of video games.
It's just that it might, you're saying that it's not unreasonable to think that media can influence you.
Yeah, sure, of course. And I mean, it also gives a picture in your mind of like actually ripping off an armored car or beating up a prostitute or something, like those things in dialogue are one thing, but then actually seeing it, like I guess if you think about it, you never saw a bank robbery just because you played Grand Theft Auto. I guess.
It's sort of like, you having these things presented to you in the context of fun. It's not really like the morality tale of like every time someone does something bad in a certain sort of media, they're gonna the consequence, the punishment is really like the sticking point. Whereas like in a game, it's like you're doing this stuff specifically to have fun, so it's a different sort of context.
Yeah, I would say that you make a good point there. And as far as like in movies, typically there is a downfall, like in Goodfellas or Scarface.
Right.
But it's always like the last 15 minutes, you know?
But you get stuck in the fun part, the wild ride.
Well, who doesn't? Everybody likes that stuff. Nobody's like, I mean, I guess the big shootout in Scarface is probably a lot of people's favorite thing, but even that is super glorified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could be one guy with a big gun and you could just make your last stand against an army. Yeah,
and you're like, he's amped up. It's like in reality, you get shot once and you're like, please, you know? You're not like, come on.
You need a mountain of cocaine. That'll help.
I'm not so sure it will.
I don't know.
Actually, you know what? You're probably right, because I've seen some of these crazy police videos, and man, I saw one. This is on. I can't remember what the channel's called, but this dude was like practicing with his samurai sword in the parking lot of like a really like low income apartments that look more like a Motel 6. and the cops show up, and he like goes after him with his sword, and they take him out.
Oh shit!
But yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, that sounds
happened,
like a
like 2
gamer.
days ago.
Sounds like a
If
gamer
you
right
see
there.
it-
Guy's samurai sword practice. I don't know.
If you see this guy and you hear, like, I'm not putting him down. You know, I feel bad for him, his family, and whoever else, and the cops who had to do what they had to do. But if you were to see him and hear him, you would probably think that video games were a part of his life.
All right, Matt, thanks for calling in. Good to hear from you.
Thanks. All right, bye.
All right, bye. Nice.
Call from
Oh, damn. Sorry, person. When a call comes in while I'm on another call and I answer it, sometimes I answer it too late and it just automatically hangs up. So I'm sorry when that happens. The call-in number is 518-288-7938. We're talking about gamers and gaming and the
call from
Raven.
Raven, you're on the gaming stream. We're talking about gaming and gamers. How are you?
What's up, buddy?
Yo.
What do you want to? Well, okay, so my point is, what did you make the gaming stream for? What do you want to know about gamers and gaming? Like, I was talking to you about Warframe and all that. What do you need from this? What can I give to you?
Yeah, I remember you talking about Warframe. I don't know. So you're a gamer, clearly. You're playing Warframe. You're grinding.
Yes, I've been playing Space Engineers lately. It's like Minecraft for adults. And you can build machines that can go out into space and mine asteroids and other planets.
How do you feel when you're gaming? What does gaming do for you, and what does gaming do for you?
I feel like it fills the void of freeze. Sorry, my friends are sitting here talking about Dundarius Redrifiolin.
Oh, nice.
They love you.
Thanks, guys.
You got some fans here.
Cool.
I feel like it fills the void for like the male or even the female need and want to gather, hunting and gathering. It's like
to min-max.
to be able to delve into the worlds that are created by game creators, and then we end up playing them and playing out a part and role playing. It gives us this kind of euphoric sense of agency.
So it is a role playing. There's a like a metaphorical thing going on where you're becoming an explorer in a metaphorical place, and you're enacting your ancient desires.
Yes, it's instinctual, and really, it's like living out a story or being inside of a movie. Like I was playing Uncharted 3 the other day, and that was a game that I played when it came out on PS3, and it was pretty good because it plays like you're in a movie. It was good. And it's like they made a movie out of it. They made a movie out of it with Tom Holland.
I hate that guy.
Our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I hate that guy. Is he the main guy? And there's an Uncharted movie? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they made a movie, dude, and I saw it, and it was all right. It's got Tom Holland, and why can I not remember his name right now? Mark Wahlberg.
Oh,
I was
shit.
about to hurt myself for not remembering his name, Mark Wahlberg, and yeah, he plays Sully, and Tom Holland plays Nathan Drake, and he's basically a treasure hunter. He's like a male Tomb Raider with some funny side to it.
All right, so games then as a form of media going against movies, let's say, because they make movies out of games sometimes. What's the deal? Are they not comparable as forms of media, or is it legit to have a preference?
There is like it is legit to have a preference because some people don't want to interact. Some people would rather watch and just imagine, but to be able to interact and you're playing a video game, to be able to interact with the world and be a character in the world is a whole nother experience entirely.
Does that just make it?
And
Does that mean
comes
it's
with
better?
controlling the character.
Does that make it like a superior, evolved form of media that you can actually interact with it? Because that's like a sort of thing that you couldn't do with media, to my knowledge, until recently.
Yep, until like the 80s.
So does that like mean it's the best, it's the coolest form of media because you can actually like fuck around
It's the
with
most
it?
compelling, cerebrally, like it's in terms of a mental response and interaction and just being a part of of the experience. There's the same kind of like parallel with theme park rides. Marvel has theme park rides, or like the Star Wars experience. You can go make your own lightsaber. Other than the movies, watching the movies is imagining. Going to a theme park is being like in part of it, being in like, playing like Star Wars Jedi Survivor is being a character in that universe that was created by a creator. Sorry, you were talking about weed. With gaming comes weed smokers,
Good
and I have weed
Lord.
smokers among them.
I could tell from their
The
giggling. All right, wait. So
the sweet wheat.
the last question I'll ask you here then is, because you're bringing up an interesting point of the real life gaming role play experience. That's a whole other thing. So
Yeah,
do you
man.
think it's? Do you
If
think
VR
is that?
to go in the right direction, it'll be good.
Well, VR is sort of the middle ground between those. But I'm talking about like you're saying,
You're
go to
going
Disney
in a
World.
better direction than how it is, I would say. For me, I feel like VR should go in a better direction than how it is right now. It's trying to immerse someone entirely. I feel like there should be like certain parameters to allow it to be a little more like adaptable for people.
What do you
I don't
mean?
know.
What do
That's
you
like
mean?
a personal opinion for me in VR. I feel like it should go in a different and better direction.
What do you mean? Adaptable? Like what? Like AR?
Yeah.
Okay. Something where there is a digital reality that's superimposed on the actual reality.
Yeah, holograms or light plates that set up holograms and stuff like that.
Okay, I don't know.
Like imagine if your TV or your VR headset was literally just a hologram projected around you, and you're controlling.
Yeah, that's definitely better.
It's like a
sounds pretty
personal opinion and an idea in my head. It could
All right.
be.
Well, let's go. I'm gonna end it there then, because this has already gone on for a while.
Yeah,
But it's good talking to you.
I know.
We're not worthy. We're not
Oh
worthy.
God. No.
They're not
right.
worthy.
All right.
They're not worthy. You have a good one.
Thank you for
Take it
calling. Bye.
Call
Hello?
from
easy.
Aiden,
Yes, sir. Hello.
you're on the Collins Show. We're talking about gamers and gaming. What you got to say about
Yeah.
that?
Oh, well, first off, I'll say congratulations on voicing Jesus again on the Ethereal Snake channel.
Oh, thank you. You saw that today?
Yeah. I think, yeah, it did release today.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you. Unrelated to
yeah.
gaming.
Yeah.
Was
In
Jesus
terms
a
of
gamer?
gaming, yeah. I'm a large-time gamer. Been gaming since I was 5 years old with my dad. Original Halo on the Xbox.
Yeah.
And haven't stopped, haven't slowed down really. Kind of taken gaming back to ancestral roots. I think all games were originally created as a way for children to learn how to do real-world tasks.
Mm.
And I think nowadays gaming still keeps that like theme or idea, even if it's not like directly related to real life. It's just kind of, that distilled what we enjoy doing as people is what we put in our games. And so it's, you just get instant gratification from stuff you already like doing. So it's kind of one of the ultimate forms of entertainment in that way.
So it's a little bit of training for real life by presenting real life tasks in a context where it's fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Just a safe environment in terms of, you're not necessarily spending real life resources to do things. And again, the timing aspect of it is games go by much quicker than the kind of gratification you get from doing real life tasks. So it's that double-edged sword, though, where at the end of the day, if you just spent all day gaming, yeah, unless you're streaming and making money off of it, you're not really, getting much out of it. It's rare that I think you get a lot of good real life skills just from gaming.
Right, exactly. It might be like what you're saying is in childhood, it might be more useful than adulthood because you've already kind of gone through that whole phase of childhood, and now you're an adult, and so there's less training that's really required.
Yeah, it's a reverse bell curve, though. So, it's useful as a child, but I think I've also seen articles where seniors who game, are a lot more active mentally than those who just, sit around and, watch TV. They also have, better motor skills and stuff with their fingers, being used to using gaming controllers.
So I mean, this is sort of the argument is that gaming is if the question is gaming like a valid activity, a productive activity, I should say. Like, is gaming productive or is it just like a waste of time? And so you're saying that there are periods of your life where it is productive. What would be the way to make gaming productive as an adult? Or is it enough to just say it keeps you sharp, it keeps you interacting with complex systems? It's like it's sort of, in what I'm gathering from your perspective, is that it's maybe better than other forms of media that you can kind of just tune out of because you have to actually be involved and interacting with games.
I think that's where, just like anything, it depends on the balance in your life going into it, where gaming, I think, can provide you a lot of things. It's just that because it's such a distilled form of media, there's also a higher chance that you get addicted to only gaming or only doing gaming for the sake of gaming, and it hurts, the rest of your life instead of helping you out.
Yeah, I see. To the detriment of the other responsibilities that you have, maybe.
Yeah, but I totally think it's there are ways to be healthy gamers, and I think there's definitely things that you could learn while gaming that can help you in real life, and that could translate into just learning how to auction things in MMOs. Or I've recently been playing a game called Balatro, which helps me remember poker hands for family poker night.
For real life gaming.
Exactly.
All right, well, thank you for calling in. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, have a good day.
All right, you too. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break here. All the music from this stream is from the album called Pure MIDI Volume 1, which was put together by an artist called Toboki Gao, which I don't know if I'm saying that right at all. We played Pure MIDI Volume 2 on a stream a while ago, and we played also Toboki Gao's other personal album longer ago than that. But anyway, you can find this album on Bandcamp. The link is in the description of this video. It's a free album, so if you like any of the music that is playing on the stream, go ahead and click on that link and download that album. And we'll be back in 2 minutes and 26 seconds with more calls about gaming. Okay, we are back. This is the gaming. Call in now, 518-288-7938. Talk about gaming. This is a call-in show. We're talking about gaming. Oh my God, thank God. We've already got a call. Who's
Call
this?
from
Dan.
Dan, you're on the Gamers Gaming call-in show.
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing much. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Talking about games, gaming.
You a gamer?
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like I played games a lot more in my youth, and I feel like I buy a ton of games, and then like they kind of pile up. I don't play them, but like I feel like even when Skyrim came out, I felt too old for that. A lot of people played that one and loved it, and my jam was more Morrowind and Oblivion back in the day. But mostly Morrowind and stuff that really left a lot to the imagination compared to the games of today.
What's the last game you can think of that you played that you sunk like 40 plus hours into, let's say?
Okay, well, honestly, that would have to be Deep Rock Galactic. I love it. I adore
Never
this
heard of
game. It's kind of like Minecraft.
Never heard of this.
It's,
When did this come out? Deep Rock Galactic?
Maybe like it's an indie game. It's dwarves mining in space, and you can sink so many hours into it if you don't mind that it's a little bit repetitive and mindless.
What about it? What
yeah,
about
it's just
that
got a
was
great community.
Okay.
And one thing I was looking to talk about a little bit is just sort of that repetitious nature to gaming these days, and like the difference between addiction and like a legitimately great game or a great product.
Okay.
Because it seems like the line is being blurred these days.
Go on. What do you think? Like you're
like
talking
a
about
lot of games they're sort of like they're repetitious in that like when you die you go right back to the beginning and you just do the same thing again.
Okay.
And they're like roguelikes. I don't know if you know that genre.
Yes. That's like,
Yeah,
a game that doesn't have a set path or enemies or terrain, maybe.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
is generated fresh each time.
Well, I just think that like a lot of these games, and I love this genre. I love these games. But sometimes when I'm playing them, like for hours on end, I'm like, is this really the height of this art form, or is this just like they've really cracked the code and figured out like what makes me keep playing all the time?
What is the benefit for a game maker in having a person play your game to completion in 5 hours versus 500 hours?
That's a really good question. I feel like these days they're looking to capitalize more on that with paid DLC and just having to like nickel and dime you like left and right. I don't really know much about this game, but recently the controversy is Dragon's Dogma. Just has when they released it, the critics didn't know anything about this, but it just has a torrent of paid DLC, of just stuff you can buy to make yourself look a little cooler or be a little better in the game.
Okay.
And it's like $5 for a cool sword, $5 for a cool saddle or something. And for most people, they're just gonna not buy it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it really ruffles people up. It really ruffles people's feathers to see like all this nickeling and diming, even if it doesn't like really affect them. It's a single player game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a weird thing to see people
from the gamer's
Yeah.
perspective then, like, is the idea, the thought process that if I'm spending so much time in this game, if I'm investing so much time in this game, I might as well invest extra money into this game so I can enjoy it more, all this huge amount of time that I'm spending on this game.
Yeah, I really don't. I honestly don't know who those people are, but I think what they're stereotypically called is whales. That they just have more money than they know what to do with. And I think that it's not that there's that many of these people, but if you find one of them, these companies are looking to just land a few whales, and these people spend thousands on these games through microtransactions.
I see.
So that's what they're really looking to get into, and it's unfortunate that it seems to affect people so much. But I don't know. I don't really mind it. I think people can have their cosmetic items in a single-player game, and I don't really mind it as a player.
Right. It's not really. Yeah. It's not affecting people who don't pay unless the DLC sort of stuff is like. It feels like you're actually missing out on some integral gameplay thing, or like you have to. A guy was talking about Warframe earlier, and actually mentioned on a call-in show a while ago. But that's a game that I remember was in the gaming news circuit about how it was like you could either grind relentlessly or you could buy DLC and sort of skip the grind.
You know, I think I think they're getting into that with games a lot more recently. The first one I remember actually was Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Mm.
And I think for a long time, whenever a DLC came out that was just viewed as like cosmetic and kind of worthless and really cheap, they would call it the horse armor DLC. Because when Oblivion came out, that was like them testing the waters. See, like, can we charge people 50 cents to put armor on your horse in a single player game? And the answer was actually a pretty resounding yes. And I think like that's what led to this culture of just like, we can release endless cosmetic things for a game. And someone out there's someone with so much money, they're going to buy every single one of them. And that person is who we're looking for, not the guy who buys one here or there, but the guy who buys every single one of them. I
want to ask you one last question here, because I think you might have a response for this. Is there are games that are very particularly designed with like an addiction loop in mind. You know, they're like very, very. The core of them is designed to keep you playing for as long as possible. Is that bad game, or is that a great game? Like, if a game can make you addicted to it, is that something that is good or bad?
It's a weird topic. It's hard to get into. One game that I've been playing a lot of recently, and I've seen a lot of streamers and such play it recently, is Balatro.
What is it?
And
say it again.
It's called Balatro, and essentially it's trying to combine like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic the Gathering with poker. And it's like a deck builder where your deck is simply a poker deck, and you're playing video poker. You try to get these good hands that score points and beat the dealer, and gradually the challenges get harder and harder, but you also get more and more tools to help you, and these weird cards like tarot cards, shit that like gives you bonuses and such to beat the dealer. And this game, oh my God, it is, especially if you're just like, you know the rules to poker, but you're not really into gambling or anything. It is next level addictive, and it just like hooks you right in and always makes you feel like you're doing well, even if you're about to get destroyed by the next dealer. It's crazy addictive, and it is hard for me to like say whether this is a great game or whoa, people are going to really lose some hours on this and like lose track of their kids.
Can you think of for yourself personally, like, do you think there is a difference between a game that you might consider like fulfilling and a productive use of time versus one that's like stealing hours away from you and you've become hopelessly addicted to it in an unfulfilling way? Or are those like
Yeah,
pretty much
it's
like
really hard to say because what is life except just filling the hours of the day? Honestly, that sounds so sad to say it out loud. But we are just looking to fill all the hours of the day, and if that's what you're looking to do, nothing is a waste of time. I genuinely believe that.
like isn't it a nice
And
thing if you're bored and you find something that like is going to capture your interest for hundreds of hours? Like isn't that like the greatest thing you could ask for?
I honestly believe that, and I like to think that because I've definitely had a lot of games that I've sunk hundreds of hours into. One of them, and I have to defend this one, is Dota 2. It's very. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it. It's kind of competitive, but people play it at all different levels. They play it very casually and they play it very aggressively. But I have to think that I haven't wasted time playing it because I feel like the time you spend meeting people and like learning about teamwork and everything, it's just you feel like you've gained something from your wins in that game.
So has there ever
stuff.
been a game, or was it like the card game you were just describing, like where at the end of playing it you're like, oh shit, like that game just really got me, and that actually was a huge waste of time? Do you ever have that thought?
Honestly, yeah. Like you do have that feeling a lot. If nothing in particular interesting is happening in a game that you've played like many, many times, you're just like, shit, that's an hour I'm not going to get back. But there's still a lot of experiences to be had.
Yeah.
In every game, and it's like that's what keeps you playing.
Well, thanks for calling in. Good to hear from you.
All right. Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, have a good one. Oop, goop, oop.
Call from
Val.
Val?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? We're talking gamers and gaming today.
Sweet. Would you consider yourself a gamer?
No.
No. Okay. Because I've had I guess talking less about the games themselves and just like being a gamer, I've had like this introspective of someone who just sinks hours into it. I'm off of work, I'm out of school, I'm immediately to video games, right? Where I'm just like, when I talk to other people, I sometimes wonder, I'm like, what do you even do with your time away from here? Like, I listen to some hobbies, and like one of my coworkers, she likes to knit. I'm like, so you just sit there and knit? Like, that's it? There's no goal other than like to finish the project? So like, I don't know, just being a gamer has created like this, I don't want to call them NPCs because it's such a weak comparison, but it's just like everybody else is just kind of doing these, what I would consider menial tasks, because they don't have like, a quest list of things or actions that you got to complete. But I don't know.
I would think, I don't know, there is a variety out there, but I think that from what I can tell, the majority of people in this sort of society that we live in, modern society, like, we basically go to work and then consume media until we go to sleep. And so even people who are knitting, it's like they're not just knitting in silence. They're like watching TV, they're listening to podcasts. They're just doing something. They've got their hands busy, and then they want something to keep their eyes and ears busy also. Gaming happens to do all those things at once, so it's an efficient form of media in that sense.
Yeah, and I guess that's what like I don't know, because as being a gamer, we're so locked into just one activity that it probably just didn't even cross my mind. Like, they can be doing other things. They're not just sitting there staring at the wall and focusing on this one task. But
so
yeah,
what do you get out of gaming then that like makes it feel like the most superior way to spend your free time?
It's I think it's mostly just because like my ADHD, it locks in all of my senses, so I don't have to like fidget with anything. Like the controller in itself is like a fidget toy, you know?
Yeah.
So like I'll sit there looking for what to play for 2 hours. Just like, I don't want to play that. I don't want to play that. I open up a game for 5 seconds. I'm like, I don't feel like playing this anymore. Like sometimes the game itself is choosing a game to play.
Mm.
You know, just procrastinating, avoiding homework. And then, I mean, I've gotten into, it's hard to get a social group together now. Or like, cause you know, like as you get older, your friends just get older, they move out and all that stuff. So everything you do over like on the internet, right?
Yeah.
And I used to play D&D a lot.
Mm.
And I remember, dude, that was a game that like people, you were kind of bringing this up a little bit, like the forum, I don't know who called, but how people perceive games. And I don't know if you remember, like they believed that like D&D was like a satanic game. It was getting kids into the occult and all that stuff.
Mm.
And it feels like the same thing, but with gambling. Like I feel like you were talking about gambling as well. I think like they've just sort of honed their craft and making these games like crazy addictive. And I got caught up in that loop, and that's why I just spent all my time, you know, playing.
Yeah, I mean, I know lots of people who I think are similar to what you're saying. Is like gaming is the main activity away from like whatever tasks are required to stay alive, and then there's also gaming takes up the rest of the time.
Yeah. And getting just locked up in the FOMO with all these, I don't know if you noticed or heard about it, but like everything's got game passes, season passes. I forget what, I play these, I don't even know what they're called anymore, but like they introduced that FOMO where it's like, hey, if you don't play the game, you don't get to the level 100, you're going to miss out on this sick-ass skin that reacts to every kill you get. And then you end up sinking hours into it. And then, like, I did that with Apex, and I wouldn't make it to the end of the battle passes because, you know, I'm busy with life. And I would just be like, $30 to get to 100, that's fine. And then I play less, and then it's $50. And I'm like, oh, it's okay.
Can you think of the last game that you played that you feel like you were it was entirely based off your choice of like the most, you know, that playing this game is going to just bring you joy. It's like it's going to be a fun experience. Not that you're trying to earn something, but it's just that like you're going to feel like it's a good use of your time because you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it was actually very recently, and it even stuck out to me. The quick answer is just Helldivers. That was fun. I enjoyed being with my buddies. But the one that like really hit recently is Horizon Forbidden West came out, and it was just one price. I think it was $50. It comes with all the DLC and everything, and it's just a story mode. You just go through it, and I don't know, the world was beautiful. Like I would stop and like take screenshots of like how pretty everything was, and like they just weren't like asking for more money the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's just a story mode game. You just play purely for the story, and I'm just like flying through, killing robot dinosaurs, and I still have like some missions to do in it, and I want to play it again. But it's just like it was a very enjoyable game. It was the ones that don't charge you a lot, and they're just like, yeah, well, we made this. Hope you like it. And I feel like we get a little less of that.
And that is a totally different experience. Really barely even feels comparable to like an online multiplayer focused game where like the focus of that is, it seems like getting a group together, a party, a friend, you know, it's like it's a social type of gaming.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like I've been watching your stuff for a long time, and like I started school and would watch your video. This goes into gaming, Trey. I started school watching all this stuff, and or getting into gaming. Fuck me, I lost track of what I was saying. But it essentially, I went to school for psychology, and I started studying like the effects of gaming on the brain and all that stuff. And it just sort of, I think that's where I started getting a lot of this introspective insight on all of these gaming habits and tactics that they're using to lock your hours into these games and how they squeeze money out of you. It's just super interesting. And yeah, like I'm already toward the end of it and stuff, but no, it's really interesting. There's no like right or wrong answers. I think a lot of this gaming stuff, when it comes to the gambling and all that, it's not a crazy answer, but it's just like moderation, like I need to find time to get away from it. And I think more people need to find time to let loose and play a game here or there.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for calling in.
For sure. Thank you, man.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All right. We're talking about gamers and gaming. Call in now, 518-288-7938. All right. I was going to say something, but never mind.
Call
There's people.
from.
What? Hello?
Hello?
Dude, you sound like you're 1,000 yards away.
1,000 yards? Can you hear me now? Does that sound any better?
That's better. That's better. It's much better.
Okay. So what's going on, man?
We're talking about gamers and gaming today. You a gamer?
Yeah. I mean, not so much anymore now that I have kids and shit.
Oh, yeah.
They've consumed all of my life and soul.
Right.
But I started off on the Atari 2600, and I was pretty
Good
much
Lord.
current to PlayStation 4.
Those are games?
Well, the Atari 2600 is a system.
Dude, I played a collection recently of all the old Atari games, and those games suck, dude.
Well, yeah, but think about when they came from. That was like hot shit back then, like Pong. They're like, oh, wow, a dot that goes back and forth on the screen.
Dude,
that was really fun back then.
That is one of the Atari games. The fucking Pong?
Yeah, it was huge.
It sucks.
Yeah, but back before you had games, and that was like, when that came out, it's like, oh my God, I can interact with this TV screen.
So
that
then
shit was great.
what's that road look like then if that's your idea of games as a kid, and then you start to get older and they're getting how games are now? Like, what? Those don't even seem related.
I mean, you can tell there's like some genetic relations, but tell you what, the old games, like especially like the NES, those games were so good. Like the gameplay was so addictive that you would just play them and play them and play them. New games, they look really pretty, but they suck. You know what I mean? Like you play them for like 20 hours and you're done. You never touch it again.
So what's
That's my
your
opinion. And they're political.
Nice. Okay, wait. Would like to get into the political side of gaming, but first, so you've got a preference for like an arcade style game. It sounds like something where it's skill based. You got to play it over and over and over again, get really good at it, and like learn all the ins and outs. That's sort of how I imagine. That's what I think of when I think of the older 2D games.
Yeah.
Like NES is like you got to really get good at it before. And that's like part of the fun is getting really good at it.
Yes, yeah, you sink the time in it, you learn the patterns. Like Mega Man 3, my buddy just watches me. I start from beginning to end without like, I die a couple times. But I played that game so many times, I know everything about that game. So it's just like, put it in. I play through it. It's like cathartic. It's like, I did that. That was the same thing as it's always been. Very enjoyable. Then I put it down. Like a year later, I'll pick it up, play it some more, put it back down.
I think that's my preference too. I mean, like that's what I really enjoyed when I was a really little kid. Because the first sorts of games that I was playing were on like Super Nintendo. Well, that's when I was really young.
Oh yeah.
And so that had more of that vibe. But in the past couple of years, I've played that game Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which there's a lot of iterations to that game.
Torture.
But it's so fun. I mean, like that's like that. That to me is what gaming is in my mind. Where it's just like you're gonna play this level 500 times until you know exactly how to do it, and then you can perfectly execute, and you feel so elated. You get such euphoria for finally beating it.
You feel like a boss when you finally do something like that because those games are absolute torture. They're pleasure and torture at the same time.
Because you can hand the controller to someone who's never played it before and be like, why don't you try it? And they'll just just fail.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll sit there and make a crack about you sucking, and then you give them the controller, and they're like, "Oh my god, oh my god, this is actually hard." Yeah,
Right.
it's not just some piece of shit that looks pretty. You don't have to have any skill. Just push the X button over and over and over again for 3 hours.
So you appreciate the skill aspect of a game.
Yeah. I mean, like, I used to, back when I was younger, when I had reflexes, I used to play the fighting games.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed those, but I suck so bad anymore. Like, when I play against people, they're so much faster than me. I can't do it, but I can still hang with the old school, just arcade style.
Nice.
Is that funny, buddy?
So
Hey,
what
can
about?
I- Oh,
So,
go ahead.
as the second part and conclusion of this conversation, we'll just briefly get into the politics of gaming. Where does this conversation go? Where do you want to go with this?
Dude, I just, that you could talk about this for like days, but I am so sick of political agenda shit. Like, I go to video games to escape, like hard life, got to work, got kids, don't have time for much. Need to unwind. You want to go and play just some mindless bluff about some evil scientist, Dr. Wily. He's making all these bad robots. You just want to blow them up. You don't have to hear about how they're transgender and how they're hate mongers and misogynists and all that stupid shit. You just want to play a game. And them just infecting. I mean, they've already done it with movies. I'm sure you've seen Hollywood movies lately. They're garbage.
Sure.
And they're doing it in video games, too. The good news is, it's just like movies, you can buy the indie games, and that shit isn't pushed as hard, or not at all sometimes, in those. So I guess you just have to be picky.
Yeah, just
selective what you buy.
A discerning consumer. And also, you'd probably find that people who are making indie games, there's such a wide variety of like the sorts of people who are making those. There's probably a group of indie game makers that have the same idea of gaming that you personally have, and they're going to try to make a game that you would actually want to play.
Oh yeah, like when the big, huge studios gobble up the little studios, the people that sell the little studio, they sell it, they go make a new company, make a good game, like a good little indie game. The big company sees it, snatches them up, they do the same thing over and over again. The team that worked on it, like sometimes a few will leave, some will join. It's the same people making good games, and they're just making millions off of these douchebags.
Yeah.
These huge corporations, and good for them.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Just keep on making good stuff. I'll keep on buying it as long as I know the people behind it are doing good work.
Nice. Well, thank you for calling in. Good to hear from you.
Yep. Yeah, you too. Hey, one thing. Next time I call, I need to tell you I missed the stream about friggin' crazy people. I got a story for you. So just
right,
next time I get a hold of you. Yeah, I got to tell you, no matter what the topic is.
All right. Sounds good. All right, have a good one, dude.
All right. Yeah, you too.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break here. We're talking about gaming today. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Maybe it looks like 3 minutes here. We're listening to music from Pure MIDI Volume 1, which is an album put together by Toboki Gao, who is an artist who makes music. And that's all I know about them, really. But if you click on the link in the description of this video, you'll find the Bandcamp that this album is on. And it's a free album, so you can download it. So if you enjoy these songs, I encourage you to download this album. And we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Okay, we are back. We're talking about gamers and gaming and, that sort of stuff.
Call from
Gamers.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, we're on the Gaming and Gamers call-in show, dude. We're talking about gamers. Are you a gamer?
I mean, a couple years ago, I guess I would have considered myself something of a sweaty gamer, but I've kind of let off as of late.
You're a reformed gamer?
I would say so, yeah.
What? Why? What happened?
Well, partly because of just work, and another one is because I discovered more niche indie titles, single-player games.
Okay, so you've altered the nature of your gamer status. You're still gaming.
I mean, gaming a lot less, but yeah.
What happened there? Like, so work, you got less time to game, and so now you're more choosy with what you're doing, or what?
Well, yeah, I got work as a paramedic here, so, working shift work and stuff, just coming home from work, just more tired and wanting more time to sleep.
Yeah.
And all that, yeah.
But does it still feel like you get enjoyment out of it when you do it? Is it something you seek out still?
Well, I'm not in the competitive gaming scene anymore. I don't play any PvP like Apex or anything like that. Just too sweaty for me.
I see. And that's just like a matter of, you think that's like something that people just naturally age out of?
Oh, yeah, for sure. When I was a teenager and all that, I'd be playing, World of Tanks or all sorts of games that would inevitably get me frustrated. I feel like just, as you age, you mellow out and it just becomes less of an issue.
All right. So what do you think about games as a form of media, their place in the media landscape and in society? Is that something that's valid, that people should do as much as watch movies or anything else that's media related?
Well, this one, I feel like it's pretty well inevitable. It's just so ingrained in our culture at this point that there's no avoiding the fact that it's a part of it now.
So if you were the guy who was in charge of all the games being made, you would maybe steer the direction of games towards single-player experiences?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
What is it about that makes you that you enjoy about that?
I don't know. For me, when I guess I'll talk about a game that I've been playing a lot recently, but it's called My Summer Car, and
I
it's
have vaguely
basically
heard
like
of this one.
it's like a life simulator set in like 90s Finland, where your whole purpose is to like build a car from scratch, from like every part all the way up to the frame and all that. But you also have to balance like making money doing odd jobs along the countryside, and there's permadeath. Like you can die from riding your moped without your helmet and having a bee fly in your eye. You got to maintain your.
It's like a simulation game, a life simulation game, but there just is a clear goal that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. The whole goal eventually is to, build the car, get it good enough for the rally, and win like the local rally race. But you can also get a chick pregnant, and that's kind of like the soft ending of the game.
That ends your quest to build your summer car?
Pretty much, yeah, because now you got responsibilities and all that, and that's when the game ends.
Does that feel like an accurate reflection of real life?
I'd say so, yeah, because, once you start, having kiddos kicking around, you can't, it's kind of like a coming of age sort of thing where, you got to start caring more about, the repercussions of your actions, kiddos and all that.
Mm-hmm. So what is it about that particular game that you find enjoyable?
Well, me, partly just because I'd always been interested in cars and building, like working on stuff with my dad and stuff. So I always kind of had an inclination towards mechanics. And just, I found that really interesting. And then just the goofy side of it too, of like, you have to, suck out septic tanks to make enough money to pay the electric bill and buy beer and sausages to survive.
So is part of it is like you're able to participate in an activity without, like spending thousands of dollars on it.
Yeah, it's like simulating the stuff you'd like to do in real life without having to put actually any real financial or time sinks into it, right?
Mm-hmm. So is that like the main sort of game that you're enjoying now? Is like simulation? You're saying single player stuff.
Simulators all the way. Farming simulator, my summer car, all sorts of goofy stuff like that.
I've seen like, sort of, I don't know, they kind of seem like meme games because I've never played them, but like a game like Power Wash Simulator, something like that. Have you heard of that?
Oh, some of those you have to try just because of the meme, right?
All right.
Yeah.
But is that a similar thing where it's like, I always wanted to wield a power washer and clean up a subway terminal, but I don't want to actually devote my entire life to getting to that point.
Well, if you really want to, have a power wash fantasy, you can always just, take your car to a self-wash and live that fantasy that way.
True. And then you'd actually get a clean car out of it.
Exactly.
So you think there's anything there, like with games in general, do you think it's a time waster? Do you think it's productive to game? Are there particular types of games that feel productive and some that don't? Or is it all just entertainment?
Well, I feel like, there's definitely games that can be productive. Like some of the simulator games, depending on how in-depth they are, they can teach you some skills about like, okay, this is how I actually fix up or build a car from scratch.
So with the game like the car game that you were playing, what's it called? My Summer Car?
Yeah, My Summer Car.
You feel like you've legitimately learned things from that game that are applicable to your real life?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Oh. Is that the sort of game you'd want to see more of? Like a game that's engaging but also instructional?
For sure. I'd say 100%.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cool. I mean, that would be neat, like, if games, like, actually translated to something in real life. I remember when I was a kid, my parents would say, like, to me and my brothers, like, you guys are going to be able to drive a car really easily because you've all been playing Grand Theft Auto for your whole lives. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what my parents seem to believe. They were like, my sister, she obviously doesn't know what the hell she's doing. She's never gamed.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the hand-eye coordination.
I mean, I suppose it would cause an increase hand-eye coordination if introduced at an early age, but I don't know if you'd want to introduce something like GTA to someone who's a youngin' still.
Yeah, that method of driving is sort of frowned upon in society.
Yeah, and then it's not like you're sticking a kiddo on a chair where you have like a proper wheel set up or like pedals. All you have to do is push forward on the thumbstick, and that's how you move forward. So.
Right. Well, then, any general thoughts here about gaming? I mean, it seems to me that like the future of the world is there's more games. It's not gonna be less. It's gonna be more.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about like whether that is a positive or negative thing for society, or do you not really have an opinion on that?
Well, just the way the current game and landscape is with just, creating a lot of these hyper-competitive, shooters or things like League of Legends where you're not getting really any constructive way of, doing anything. I feel like it's just going to be addicting the youth to, getting sweaty and angry. And I don't think that's a good thing for anybody. But if the trajectory of gaming changes, then it might have a better place in society than it does now.
So there is a potential useful trajectory for games.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like that's the way it's going right now.
All right, well, hey, thank you for calling in.
No worries. It's the first time I ever got on call.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, good talking to you.
Yeah, no worries. Catch you later.
Right, bye-bye.
Call from
Chris.
Chris, we're talking about gamers and gaming today. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I'm a longtime gamer. I have many thousands of hours in a game where you hit a ball with a car to play soccer.
Is that Rocket League?
It is Rocket League. I nailed it.
Okay, I had to remember both words there. I was going to call it Hot Rocket for a second.
Your mind is sharp.
Yeah. So, what's the enjoyment you get out of that? It's just fun? Entertainment?
No, it's not fun at all. It's purely frustration.
That's horrible. Do you get?
It is.
But
Yeah,
you're able
wasted my
to
20
work out
playing
that frustration? Yell at people?
Yeah, I break a controller at least once a year.
Do you?
Last
Is
time I
that
set
real?
up
Do you
fire.
throw them?
Yeah, but I've graduated. I stopped throwing them because you never know what you're going to break. Now I put them in my fireplace carefully, and I light a fire and do a whole ritual. And what's great about that is it keeps me from playing the game for a couple months until I buy a controller again. So
That does sound like a evolved form of throwing the controller. You've turned it into something almost
Turned it into like
metaphysical.
I've turned it into like a ritual, like a ancient,
Because you can probably think like you can put all your gamer thoughts, all your sinful gamer thoughts into the controller, light it on fire, and then you're burned clear until you buy the next controller.
It's really freeing. It's a wonderful feeling. I think that maybe if there's any use to all the anger I have when I play Rocket League, it's when I let it all loose during that time. Yeah.
So do you have a feeling when you have gotten so angry that you need to stop, that you've recognized, you have a self-awareness that like this can't go on. This is the end.
Right. Yeah.
What brings you back after you've gone through the whole ritual?
What brings me back? What do you mean?
You've forsaken the game. You've forsaken gaming. You've burned the controller in a ritual. What brings you back to gaming after you've gone through such an elaborate thing?
Right. Well, I think I might not do it this time. I think maybe I've finally conquered it.
Really?
But I think so, but I'm not sure. And when I've done it in the past, when I get back to it, it's kind of like I just really feel the desire to play. Usually I'm just extremely stressed, bored, and I'm like, I want to play this game. I am going to GameStop. I'm going to buy a controller.
So even though it does cause you frustration, it's also a release for the stress in your everyday life.
Yes, I think it's because it's an addiction. You know, I get so bored and stressed and full of anxiety that my mind goes to the things that I've built up as escapes, as a reason, as a outlet, as an answer to the negative emotions I'm feeling, the turmoil.
I see. And what is that experience like? Let's say you've been away for a year and you've thought that was the end of gaming for me, but then you've had this, maybe you'd call it a moment of weakness, or maybe it's a moment of clarity. We don't know. But you get back into Rocket League, and then what is your feeling there is once you're back in after being away for so long?
It's usually pretty fun because I haven't done it in so long, and it's just the wiring of the brain is built to want to do it. So there's a honeymoon period. It's pretty brief though, I think, a few days.
So you sort of quickly realize, you quickly revert to old ways.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any advice out there for the gamers that are trying to get away from gaming but can't? Is there anything anyone can do?
Stop playing competitive games. I would say don't get addicted to any competitive games. Don't listen to your friends. Don't start playing Dota. Don't start playing Fortnite. I mean, Fortnite, I think it's okay. It's mostly playing against little kids, but don't play Apex. Don't play none of these games. Overwatch. These are truly degenerate activities that I do not condone for anyone, and I recommend you don't do it. Yeah, I've had crazy experiences. Some of the most important experiences in my life had to do with gaming.
Could you tell us about one of those?
Yeah, I mean, when I was 18, which was quite a while ago, Actually, I was like 15, 16. I played this online game no one's ever heard of. It's called Xenimus, Xenimus. I think currently maybe 80 people play it, and it's at its peak maybe a few hundred. But it's an online RPG, and I met a girl on it, and we started talking over the phone and developed a relationship. And I'd never had a girlfriend because obviously I'm somebody that plays video games all day, so it's not really, doesn't go hand in hand. But I did at that time meet her and talked on the phone every day. We fell in love with each other, the kind of immature, doesn't have any experience, teenage love. And then I flew to New York to meet her when I was 18.
How did that go? Go on.
You're chuckling as you ask, but I think you know the answer. Not so good. I mean, listen, as we all know from current day reality TV shows, Love is Blind and all these 90 Day Fiance, the way how lovey-dovey and perfect it seems over the phone is not reality. And when you actually meet somebody, it's really like you're meeting them for the first time, even if you've spent 3 years chatting every night and talking about your inner thoughts, and you think you understand this person completely, but the dynamic in person is everything. And I was an inexperienced, nerdy guy. She was as well, but was girl. And it was awkward. And after like a day, she was like, I think you should leave. And I was like, I should too. And I left. But,
Oh, that hurts, dude. That is pretty funny. Wait, but you said Love is Blind. Like you guys must have known what each other looked like.
Yeah.
Okay. But it was just the actual reality of sharing a space on Earth. That was too much.
Exactly. Being an awkward, skinny, little weirdo dude who was trying to like say the types of things he's seen in movies for how to be cool and how to get laid that is, so off. And her just needing me to take the lead on everything, and when I didn't do it well, she was like, well, I don't know what to do, so goodbye forever. And we never spoke again.
Wow. Truly? Never?
Never. I cared about her for quite a while, wrote a bunch of songs about her and stuff, and as I was older, I was like, this really wasn't a big part of my life. It felt like it at the time. But
Were you ever trying to get her back with the songs you were writing, or were those purely for your own catharsis?
It was for self-expression. One thing that I did that I cringe about is that I wrote out the story of us meeting, how it went, my views of, my side of the story of what happened in New York, and so on, and posted that on the Xenimus forums. To anyone who's like, remember me? I haven't been here in a couple of years, but also here's what happened. This crazy story. And then I sent it to her saying, hey, almost like I'm asking permission, like, is it okay that I did this? But I already did it, so I really just wanted her to read it.
Right.
And I don't know if she did or didn't, but also just about a year ago or so, I sent her a message on LinkedIn. I found her and was like, would you ever want to chat? I tried to word it in a way that was like clear. I am not trying to rekindle something, but even saying that, even mentioning it is kind of weird sounding. So I really just wanted to say, like, wasn't that crazy? I just wanted a phone conversation that was closure that was like, that was insane, right? And I wanted to apologize and say, I don't hold anything against you, because obviously I was a weirdo guy who came to your New York condo while you were in college. And anyway, just wanted to like
just to be like, yeah, exactly. Wasn't that crazy? Like, we were both so young. How long ago was that?
I'm 33. That was 15 years ago.
Oh yeah. I mean, jeez. That would be a fun conversation to have. Like, remember?
But but even so, I still am like, she hasn't reached out to me this whole time. Why am I suddenly gonna like reach out to her? Just leave her alone. Leave the fucking poor girl, the poor woman alone.
I mean, I hate to say this, but that's the behavior of someone who doesn't have a girlfriend. Am I right?
Shit, I've got like 5 girlfriends right now.
Come on, dude. That's some lonely dude behavior. It's okay. I mean, I understand.
I don't know what to respond, man. I don't know.
I understand. No, I understand. But that is a good life lesson, though, is that you can't learn, you can't create a relationship off of a game, or do you think so? Is that something that is possible? You had a negative experience with it, but like, can you create a legitimate relationship in real life out of a game, or is it just going to be purely a gaming relationship that only exists online
Look,
on
if you
games?
ask if something can happen, I have to say yes, it can.
Okay.
In fact, yes, I'm sure it has. Of course it has. But are the odds in your favor even slightly? Even if you think that you really know them? Nowadays, online communities have more tools. You know, people could know somebody through a Discord where they chat on voice and they see stuff about their life over a period of time. And you can really, really think that you know somebody, that they like you, that you like them. But my advice here is meet them as soon as it's possible. Like as soon as you guys are being lovey-dovey, try to meet them, because odds are it's not going to go your way, and you should find out as soon as possible. Because yeah, doing this 2-3+ year-long stuff with a girl that you haven't met and then finally doing it, I mean, you have to know that odds are it's not going to work out, so you should, don't do that.
Very good advice. Thank you for calling in.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Yes. Meet those people. Something
Call from
different about
Joe.
real life. Oh, what? Who? Hello?
Oh, shoot. Hey, it's Joe.
Joe?
Yeah.
Good to hear from you, Joe.
Can
We're
you hear
talking
me?
about gamers and gaming today. You got anything to say about that?
Of course, but can I ask you something?
Sure.
Pretty serious.
Yeah.
Will you grill me on this grill?
Joe, I don't know you that well. I don't feel like I'm close enough to you to make that call, but
Is that crazy?
I mean, maybe we could talk to each other a bit more, start up a bit of a platonic relationship and build up to that point, but at this point I'm going to say no, I can't.
It's got to be done. All right.
Maybe
but
later.
no, I'm a gamer. I'm putting my controller down right now to have this conversation.
You're gaming? What were you gaming?
I'm playing Arceus, Pokemon Legends Arceus. It's okay. It's pretty good.
I've never heard of that.
It's a
Heard of
newer
Pokemon.
one.
What is it on?
It's on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, all right. All right, so would you call yourself an avid gamer, or are you just a casual gamer?
It's week to week, but I play a couple games here or there.
Well, what do you have to say about games in general? What's your overall thesis on games?
My thesis on games, like most things in life, it is what you make it. So if you want to get mad and throw your controller at the TV, sure, it's that. If you want to sit back and just like co-op with your wife, it's that too. Or if you want to play Pokemon because it reminds you of your childhood, it can be that. It's great.
So there's a place for gaming in every household that makes a place for it.
I think so.
Is it something that you find benefits you in your life?
Yeah, I think it's a benefit. I think it can be a detriment sometimes too, of course. But I mean, like those examples I gave you, right now I'm playing some Pokemon. It's taking me back. It's cutting the edge. I can go back and deal with, real life after. Or like even bonding with my wife. Like we play a couple games together and it's just a good time.
What do you think about then, like, with gaming into the... do you mind if I ask how old you are?
Yeah, I just turned 29.
Okay. So, you're a young man. But there are people younger than you. You probably recognize that, right?
Okay.
So, you've probably grown up with games, though. Am I right? I mean, like, when's the earliest you can remember playing games or watching them, maybe?
SNES, I was probably like 8 or 9 years old.
Okay, that's pretty young, but people have been exposed to games even younger than that. So do you feel like in the future with games becoming a greater and greater part of like you could probably agree that like people who are 30 years older than you basically have no conception of gaming at all.
It's super limited. Yeah, so that'll probably happen. It's somewhat happened already, where like some newer games, like the appeal definitely eludes me.
Mm-hmm. And like those are the sorts of games that the newest generation are going to be raised on, are these games that are different than the sort of games than we grew up with. Is that something that worries you? Is it some or do you have what might be your opinion on the future of games and how it impacts future generations, knowing that gaming evolves in a way that's, you know, beyond our control?
I don't think it worries me because, like, I don't know, like I always will have like the games I enjoy to play, and I mean, like I do other things in life, so like it's gonna be fine. But it's also like a trendy thing too, where you'll like see like stuff that you loved as a kid goes out of style, comes right back into style in like a new way, and you can hop on and like get that, you know, joy you used to have. Like I mean, like Undertale came out like almost like a decade ago, and that brought back the whole like, you know, I don't want to say the word retro, but like I guess I don't know, narrative RPG kind of quirky thing, and then you know it's kind of gone back out of style and back into style, so I'm not worried about it.
All right, so you think gaming is fine? There's no problem. You don't think of any sort of problem with gaming or
like gaming, like on my like for my personal life, or like gaming as a concept in general.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to like you. It doesn't seem like a problem in your personal life. No, I mean, like you seem to have a healthy relationship with gaming. But do you think of as this form of media that has a very a big control over young people? Is that something that you think about as a worrisome thing, or is it just like, you know, gaming is gaming, gamers got a game, people will figure it out on their own, like how much to include it in their life as they grow up? Or is there some sort of is there some sort of addictive thing that's doesn't sit right with you? Is it good or is it bad? That's my question. Is gaming good or bad?
Yeah, gaming good. Gaming good. No, I think you're right. Just like anything, like anything you love, to really challenge it, you got to be able to let it go. And so, like when you were talking about the addictive games earlier versus like, you know, one that really hooks you in, I think you gotta, if you can't put it down, then you don't love it. It controls you, and that is a problem. And I see it all the time. I have friends who are really into like the gacha games to the point where like that's where their wallet goes on a weekly basis. And that's sad. And I think like that's kind of like any other substance where like I definitely saw one of my friends pull out their phone and do like one of those mobile gacha games. And it was like as if he pulled out a crack pipe. I mean, it was the same social status. So
just like clicking buttons to make the numbers go up. Such a good feeling.
Exactly.
And just the
like,
more you click, the more the numbers go up until you're just untouchable. You've got the highest numbers you could ever imagine.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know what? And that's, for some people, that's their joy, and that's like all they have time for, or at least that's what they think. I do think that is a direction that we're heading in, where gaming companies, like even AAA companies, think that our attention spans are so short that you can't play like a full in-depth game like the old days. I would argue that that's not necessarily the case. So then they don't put out as good of quality of things, or like, you know, as deep products. But yeah, no, I don't know.
I mean, my favorite game series of all time is the Metal Gear games, and I loved them since I was a little kid. And Metal Gear 1 or Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2, like both those games together, you play them back to back in less than 20 hours. It's a very short experience compared to modern games, but they are what I would consider very complete entertainment experiences. I feel like I get a lot out of them. I don't feel like any time is wasted in those games.
That's a beautiful thing.
Say again?
I said that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like that might be a thing that's being discarded the longer we go on. Is it seems like it might be the motivation of bigger companies making games to just like kind of lock you into a gameplay loop, not necessarily because it's a full experience, but because you feel compelled to continue the addiction loop until you've gotten your numbers to the highest point and you feel satisfied at that point.
Right. You gotta beat the battle pass and then the other battle pass and this or that. Yeah, no, I totally feel that. And I am at a point in my life where like I play the games I know I derive joy from, with very little variation, and then I'll talk to friends who also game, and that's where I get my recommendations. So like sometimes you'll get a good recommendation and be like, oh, like that's how I find the games, but they're far and few. I'll agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for calling in.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good one, dude. Okay, we're going to take another quick break here. Yeah, we'll probably do one or two more breaks before we wrap it up today. We're doing shorter call-in shows. I should be doing shorter calls. Oh, God, excuse me. Again, all the music from the stream is from Pure MIDI Volume 1. It's an album put together by Toboki Gao. If you click on the link in the description of this video, you'll find the Bandcamp link to this album. It is a free album. You can download it for free whenever you want. And we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Okay, we are back, and I've determined this is going to be the last segment of the call-in show because I've had 2, 4, 5, 6, like 6 beers or something, and I feel like my ability to make cogent points is diminishing, so I'm just gonna end it.
Kane.
Kane, hello.
Yo, what's up, dude?
Yeah, dude, we're talking about gaming. What's up?
Dude, I love gaming. Gaming is where it's at, man. I love it.
Care to elaborate?
If I could game all the time, I'd be gaming all the time, dude.
What's holding you back?
You gotta make money. You gotta go to sleep sometimes, you know?
So if someone paid you to game nonstop, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week,
And just pump adrenaline and caffeine into my body so I stay awake, I'd be in heaven. Just
Well, you don't
glued into a suit.
you could pay for that. I mean, like, if they're paying you to game, you could buy all the Red Bull or Monster or Bang you want.
Wait, did you say that? Is this the last call?
Not the last call, but this is the last segment.
Oh, okay. All right.
Don't worry, no pressure.
Yeah, I saw a couple of comments saying that it was the last call. I was freaking out because I didn't hear what you said because I turned down my thing.
No, I said I've had enough beer at this point that I'm getting sloppy. I recognize that I'm getting sloppy, so you gotta wrap it up this half hour.
Before I forget, I'd feel bad if I didn't say it. Someone wanted to ask you what you think about video game music, and they said something Aphex. I forget what it was. Aphex something.
I don't know what that means.
Video game music.
I love video game music. It's one of my favorite genres of music. I love it. I play it on the stream a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the music that you got for this is like the perfect, very fitting, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad
really,
you like it.
Aphex Twin. That's what it is. Aphex Twin.
Yeah, I don't really know a lot of Aphex Twin. I've heard just some of it. The people have shown me, and it seems like cool stuff to me. But I've never sought it out on my own. But I love video game music. I think it's funny to me that just like I don't think of a lot of things as video game music. The sort of music that I make, like on Fruity Loops and stuff, like. It's I guess people view it as like video gamey type music, but I don't know. I just like little beeps and boops. I think it's a great. I think beeping and booping is a good instrument.
Oh yeah, like the little MIDI keyboards and everything.
Yeah, and they're super talented composers who are working on that shit.
Yeah, it's really cool, and really talented. You know, like the music that I played a game called Undertale, and it had like a lot of like kind of like MIDI type music in it, and really good music, you know.
And I think that there's some sort of special place in a lot of people's hearts for that, just because a lot of people in our generation. I don't know how old you are. How old are you?
25.
Yeah, okay, so you're younger than me, but I would say a lot of people in our general generation have grown up with video games, and so we kind of just have this music playing in the background of our minds, like since we're 4 or 5 or something, so it's really deeply embedded in there, this style of music.
Yeah, I feel like it triggers like almost like a nostalgia thing too, like it definitely takes you back to, I think everyone has like really core memories of like playing video games either with their friends or family, like.
I have a lot of memories of. Oh yeah, go
on. Just the. Man, I'm blanking. I hear what you saying. I'm sorry.
Just that I have a lot of memories of, like watching my older brother play video games, because I have an older brother who's like, he's like 7 years older than me, so he kind of like. He was the main gamer dude. A lot of time I was just watching him. I'd get the controller and I'd be terrified as soon as like I had control of the game. I really preferred just watching a game when I was really young. I think there's something to that that has to do with the gamer streamer thing of like people enjoying watching games. Obviously not everyone who's watching streamers is like it's going through some sort of sibling nostalgia, but I think there's something there. It's just like, it is enjoyable to watch someone else play a game.
Yeah, it gives you that couch play kind of like feeling again.
Well, one of the things that I really missed was I remember just how fun it was to be playing a game and then going to school and talking to people about it, and like almost because I didn't really get internet or a computer until I was older. So the way I like found out about stuff was going over to like, or going to school and, talking to people about it. I remember there was this one time my friend told me that if I replayed Tony Hawk Underground, that the last scene where you like get your tape back from the dude, it's gone, and all you do is you just like punch him in his head and you steal the tape back from him. And it blew my mind when I played it again and saw it. And I would love to just go back to that day, like those times when, gaming was very magical,
That is a great point to bring up, because that was something that was very special about pre-internet gaming. It was like you didn't have the ability to just like, if you get stuck in a game, you're just going to look it up and you're just going to be like, how do I do this? And find out instantly. You can also look up every Easter egg or anything special about any game and just be like, oh, that's neat. But it was a lot more neat when I was like a little kid, and there's like rumors about games that just aren't even true.
Yeah, oh yeah, those cheat books that you could get at the book fair that none of the cheats worked. It'd be like you could play as Bowser and Super Mario.
Yeah,
they never worked.
They were, because they would tickle the imagination of like, what is what is actually, what could I achieve in this game? What could I find? What secret? I remember, like classic ones that I remember are like Grand Theft Auto 3, like you go through some tunnel or something and you get to the secret skate park, and there was like even like Pokemon Snap. I remember my little brother being like him telling, like, he had friends that was telling him like, you could get the secret shotgun in that game and you can fucking blow all the Pokemon away. And it was so much fun to not be able to verify that, just being like, there's no way, but also like, how do I get it? What's the method? That's something that is kind of
stuck around a little bit, even like even early internet. I remember like seeing videos of like people playing San Andreas and being like, oh, you can go here and you get the skateboard, the secret skateboard item where you can actually skateboard in San Andreas.
Yeah,
and it was all like fake. They all did. But it would get you.
It was a fun added to the whole thing of just being a kid and you're just playing around in this virtual world, and you don't really know what is possible. It seems when you're a kid, it seems like anything is possible in a little virtual world like that.
Oh yeah. To like add on to that GTA and like being a kid and everything, I remember like even recently this still comes up, is you were talking about like politics earlier, and I remember when I was a kid and they would say like, or even just recently where it's like, in this new game Red Dead Redemption, you can hog tie a woman and blow her up and put her on the train track and burn her alive afterwards, and it's like, yeah, you can do that, but you chose to do that, you sicko news reporter guy. Like, that's not like a mission in the game, dude.
Is that like something that is, I don't know, when I think of what makes a game really fun to me is, I mean, there's a few different things, but when a certain way to measure it is like, can I do in this game world what I expect I can do? Like, and it gets weird when it's like an open world thing, because it's kind of like the game is kind of it seems like it's inviting you to just be like, here it is. It's like it's all laid out for you. You can do whatever you want. It's very different than the feeling of like an arcade game where it's just like you can jump and you can punch. Like, it's very, it's explained very much like this is what the game is. But when you change the nature of the game to be like, here you go, like it's a big playground for you to do whatever you want, then it feels like the whole point of the game is to figure out like, what are the limits of what I can do.
definitely. It was like one of those like Postal is it's funny because Postal, the whole thing is to just do the most mundane tasks ever, and it gets you because you don't want to. It's almost like it feeds into that that part of your brain where you're like you control yourself. Like but in this situation, I'm playing a video game. I can just blast everyone in front of me at the bank and get to the front of the line.
Is there any game you've been playing recently that you would say is like makes you feel nostalgic in a way that's beyond the like Pokemon thing of like, you've got a title that you remember, but it's like it makes you feel like how you were playing games when you were a kid?
Yeah, I really miss that feeling of like getting lost in a game. I guess the last one would have been like Red Dead, but right now I never really played Bully too much, but I'm playing through Bully right now on my Xbox.
Yeah.
And dude, that game is so much fun. I could play that game for hours because it's so like you go to classes and everything. It's almost like a simulator. And there's like girls that you can like kind of like kiss and like build relationships with and stuff. And it's really cool. It makes me like wish I had like a better like I guess like school experience. Like I was like a little rapscallion doing crazy stuff.
Because it seems like so much fun in Bully.
Yeah, like throwing eggs at like the what do they call them, like the supers or whatever, like the people that just like walk around the school and make sure people aren't doing bad stuff.
All right, well, hey, thank you for calling in.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, dude. I love your stuff, and I just got the Head Bop shirt. I love the looks I get. I love it.
Nice. Hell yeah. Thank you.
Right,
Appreciate it. All right, bye.
Call from.
Hello?
Yo, did I make it on?
Yeah, dude, you're
I'm at
on.
the skating rink. Sorry if it's loud.
Okay, is this Aaron?
Yes.
I could tell from your voice. You're at the skating rink? Is that a game?
Yeah.
You gaming?
No, the skating rink, where you skate.
But
You
it's
know
sort
roller skating?
Yeah, but you're not.
Say what?
It's sort of like
Is
a
it too
game.
loud?
No, you sound like you're in a loud place because you're talking loud, but I can't hear any of the background noise.
Oh, nice. Perfect. Okay, cool. All right, what's up? What's the word?
Gaming. Gamers.
Gamers. Oh, okay. I was listening earlier, and the guy who brought up Dota 2, he brings it up as a good game, but my God, dude, if you're a casual gamer, that game fucking sucks.
Because you're getting beat?
I've been playing on and off. Say what?
Because you're getting beat?
Yeah, no, straight up. Can't keep up with all the bullshit. I've been playing on and off since I was like 14. I'm only 24 now, and like me and my buddy are playing recently, and I'm fucking donkey balls, and it's stressful. You want to be good, but unless you're like devoting like 40 hours a week, go fuck yourself.
What's the game you enjoy playing now as a 24-year-old?
Dota 2.
Oh. So it's...
I still like it. It's just frustrating because I get my ass kicked.
So you feel like you got to dedicate more time to this?
Yeah, but then you brought up the other problem of like, you don't have enough time. And if I really wanted to get good, I'd let it take over a lot of my responsibilities and all the other stuff. And like, I don't know, man. It's like, I do agree though, like, it's productive. Gaming is good for you if you make it good for you. I used to have a lot of anxiety about like stuff I had to do with FOMO, gaming. If you're anxious about the game and what you're doing, you'll never actually like have fun with it, and you'll always regret it. So you kind of got to have some sort of like self-acceptance with the time you spend. Like people are like, oh, you're wasting your life, blah blah blah, playing games. But if you're comfortable with spending some time unwinding to play a game, like nothing's bad. It's all good.
So do you think it's the wrong direction for someone to take if the fun is just one element, but really they're trying to build their skill level to become a competitive powerhouse and dominate the competition? Is that an invalid way to game, or is that the best way to game? What do you think?
I'd say invalid because you'll probably never be good enough. Is it like the pro players are 1 in a million, and unless you have like no responsibilities and like unlimited money for income and you don't have to fucking do anything, stop while you're ahead. It's very very hard that people come into money and competitiveness.
It's the sort of thing that makes a lot of sense for like a college student, where it's like you got class, but that's your only responsibility is class and homework, and then the rest of your time, if you so choose, you could just devote that entirely to becoming the best gamer on Earth.
Well, that like depends on how much homework and shit you got, how much you need to study. And it kind of, what about the rest of your like social life or anything? Are you willing to sacrifice your social life?
Oh, true.
Are you, like, I guess like any hobby, it's what you put into it and what you sacrifice for it.
Yeah,
like,
there's a balance.
I'll play Dota with my buddy, and it's for hour-long games basically because it's better than League. But I don't like League as much. Anyways.
So it's partially that is part, but it plays into your social life. You're saying is like you game because you're gaming with your friends.
Yeah, I mean it's only my one buddy from high school, and we got matching tattoos of the game because we put a lot of hours into it. I know, kind of cringe, but it's okay.
All right.
Don't worry, man. I got that enough. I don't care.
All right. Hey, Aaron, thanks for calling in. How's your roller? Are you're at a roller skating party, or are you just roller skating, just free recreation?
For my recreation, I got nothing to fucking do, so here I am.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good hearing from you.
Hey, you man, you too.
All right. Have a good one, dude. Bye.
Call from
Ryan.
Ryan.
Yo.
We're talking about gamers and gaming today on this call-in show. Do you have anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I wanted to say that, first of all, Atari's fucking shit.
Yeah, dude.
Those games are awful.
Yeah.
I'd say, like, comparing that to a game is like comparing, like, a horse and buggy to a car. It's like a totally different thing.
Same shape, but totally different functionality.
Yeah. And I wanted to say that, like, modern games, there's, like, equally, a lot of people are really pessimistic because of all the, like, slop that's being shoved down people's throats.
Yeah.
Just, like, microtransactions and, like, these games that people don't enjoy, they just play them because they want to, like, increase their rank, and it makes them jaded. But at the same time, if you look at, like, the games that are coming out of smaller studios, and, like, indie devs, there's, like, a lot of good stuff coming out with, like, really innovative features and stuff. I think most people just probably don't have time to look for it, and they just kind of, like, they take what's being shown on the biggest YouTube channels or whatever, and they think, like, oh, well, this is games now. But it's kind of like you have more choice than ever.
Do you have, and I mean, first of all, I think that perspective applies to pretty much all media, but maybe specifically games. But do you have a indie game that you could say is like, that's something that feels like it's made for you, or it's just like you particularly enjoy it that you wish more people knew about?
I mean, there's a lot of them, obviously, but just off the top of my head, if we're talking like obscure, most recent?
Yeah. It's like the most recent game you've been playing that's not a AAA game, but it really caught your attention and you're able to sink hours into it.
There's one game, it's called Baba Is You. It's not like, I wouldn't say it's super obscure, but it's definitely not like a AAA title. And it like takes the elements of programming and it puts it in a game form, and it's basically like you're changing the game in real time to try to like solve problems. So like, for example, like it uses like words. So your character's named Baba, but there might be like a rock in the level. And then if you find the word for the rock and then you change the rule, so it's instead of Baba is you, it could be like rock is you. Now all of a sudden you're playing as the rock.
That's interesting. So that's like, is that what you think of as like your ultimate sort of game, is something that's engaging your brain in like a really different way? Like you're kind of, it's sort of like a meta game, or?
I think so. It doesn't necessarily have to be meta, but I think that like introducing yourself to new concepts all the time is like it's like probably very important for your brain, because if you're always encountering new things, then you're not getting stale and sort of, just giving up on your brain. And it sort of crystallizes if you just, I feel like playing, I really think that like the people now who are like chronically addicted to like multiplayer shooters and stuff, where it's always just kind of the same concept and the only thing that changes is like the skins that they're selling you every week. I think it's going to be sort of like how boomers watch TV, just like passing, like a very passive activity that never changes. I think it's going to be like that, and it's going to like fuck up people's brains.
So that kind of tracks with the idea of the subscription-based game model, where it's like you got like a big company like Microsoft will do like Game Pass, and so you're kind of presented just like a billion games, and you can just play, you can open them up and play them for a few minutes, and maybe if you don't automatically understand how to play them, you might just leave. But if you do, if they seem like the sort of games you've already played before, you might be more interested because you don't have to learn anything new for it. Does that make any sense?
Right. Yeah. I think those are like a unique issue though, because with all these subscription services, it's like they're trying to condition people to the idea that you don't own the things that you buy.
Okay, yeah.
And so you'll purchase something and they'll call it a purchase, but then like you'll get into a game and then it's like, oh, before you can play, make sure you sign this end user license agreement. And it'll say like, you don't own this. This is a temporary license. And one day we'll shut down the game, and it requires a connection to our servers and all this stuff.
And that's a very good point. And I think that maybe that does feed into that of like, it doesn't feel necessary to own a game that isn't unique. Like if you have 100 games that are sort of similar, but they sort of seem like different skins of each other, it's not really worth it to own any one of them in particular, because they're all kind of the same game anyway. Whereas like if you have a game that is very unique, like that actually is worth owning particularly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, it just seems like a constant theme. Not to stray away from gaming, but just with all entertainment, and like, even like if you buy appliances or cars, it's like they're doing all these things now to try to suggest that like you don't own the things that you pay for.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
But it's sad to see that happen to games, because it's like games were always supposed to be a thing for people to like relax and have fun.
Is there do you
not
think
all bad? There's still plenty of good stuff.
Yeah, like we were talking with the last caller about like indie games versus AAA, like it seems like there's hope there, because it's not all just corporate controlled like video game media. Like there are literally like individual people who can program a game from start to finish. It's a huge undertaking. It's very rare, and they have to like hire out a lot of help usually to fill out certain things like music or art for the game. But like individuals can actually make games.
Oh yeah, for sure. I implore anyone who's listening that's interested in that to like get into that, because it's actually easier than people think. Like there's so many free engines now to just, I mean, even if you just want a blueprint and like just make up something real fast, just a prototype an idea. All these free engines, they have like so much information available. And there's even like there's Godot, which is like it's open source, so it's completely free. It's like almost on par with Unity. It's not quite there, but yeah, there's like all these options for anyone to just do whatever, make something in your bedroom. I think that's going to be like how it shifts away from corporatism.
All right, well, thanks for calling in. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, bye. Okay, we're going to be wrapping this up soon. 518-288-7938. Do another call or two here. We're talking about games and gaming and gamers as a form of media. And also, wait.
Call
Who's
from
this?
Schloop.
Yo, I got in.
Yo, dude, we're talking about gamers and gaming and games.
Yeah, so I don't actually play games that much anymore, but I own like hundreds, if not thousands of them, and I could talk about them for hours.
Where do you want to start?
There was even
when did you slow down from gaming?
It's been like a sine wave over the years, but it's like been trending toward not playing. Like every once in a while, a game will come out that I'll just get really into. The last one was probably the latest Zelda game.
Breath of the Wild, or there's a sequel
no,
to
the
that?
one after that.
Right.
Yeah, the sequel.
What about that game in particular got you stuck into it?
It's just like an extremely well crafted game, and it like gives you a lot of freedom, kind of like the original Zelda for the NES, where you don't have to do things in order, and there's like multiple ways to achieve your goal, which is also what Breath of the Wild did. But the new one did it even more because it had this whole weird system of like building random shit and vehicles. It's kind of like Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts, or so I've heard.
So is that like your ideal sort of game? Is like it's a playground for you to just test things out and see what you can do?
I do like open world games in general, like the GTA games. I played through all of the main series ones of those. They're pretty great. But nowadays, instead of playing games, I just like collect ROMs and keep them on my computer and don't actually touch them. And I'll like, I modded my Switch, and I've been like dumping all of my games to digital files to put on my computer.
So what do you feel like is the purpose of that? Is that just like, are you being are you preserving games?
I mean, preserving for myself, sort of. Like I'm not sharing them online, but I do share the metadata online. There's groups. There's one called like No Intro, and if you've ever like downloaded a big ROM set, it might have been one that was validated by them. But it's not like a ROM distribution group. It's like they collect metadata about the games, like the versions, and like they run hashes on the files. So like if you have a ROM, you can run a hash out on yourself and then figure out which version you have.
So is it like purely for nostalgia's sake? Like you're gonna, I do this sometimes where I download games from my childhood and I don't even want to play them right away. But I think like at some point I'm gonna wanna just have a nostalgia day and just play old games that I remember when I was a kid.
I do that sometimes. I recently went back and I got 100% on some of the old like SNES games I played but never completed, like all the Donkey Kong Country games and Yoshi's Island.
What is it about playing those games? Is it purely nostalgia, or does that feel like a type of game that you wish was still what gaming is, or?
I think it's a mix of both. Like there have actually been modern successors to the Donkey Kong Country games that are still pretty fun, but I would still prefer to play the original three.
What about them? I mean, could you pinpoint like? If it's beyond
Maybe it's
nostalgia,
just-
if it's not just like I remember that this was good, it's like, could you pinpoint what you think is good still?
Maybe it's
Compared
the
to modern
simplicity of them.
Okay.
Like consoles in that generation, just in general, like you start the console, you're immediately in the game.
Mhm.
There's no making accounts or downloading updates or any of that shit.
Mhm. What about the game itself? I mean, like, do you think there's what do you think there's too much focus placed on with modern games compared to the games that you enjoyed or loved when you were a kid?
I think part of it could just be that there, like with each new generation, there are fewer constraints, and that enough constraints can like kind of force you to be more creative.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you go back far enough, like to the Atari 2600, I think there are too many constraints, and you're
Right.
too limited.
Yeah, you were very limited on the old Atari. Because a man,
Yeah, that was-
a man or a person on the Atari is just a 1 pixel guy.
Oh yeah,
It's just a block.
that was before my time, and I don't know. Maybe if I had grown up during the time when that was new, I would still like it. But from my perspective, it hasn't aged well at all.
Do you think there's something to that where it's like the people who are 10 or 20 years older than us, I assume we're in a similar age category here, it's like that's their idea of gaming, and then everything that follows that is kind of just like overly complex. It's like it's not necessary. Whereas like, you know, we're in a similar boat. We had higher res 2D graphics when we were growing up, but there is a similar amount of simplicity to games that we enjoy that is sort of lost as time goes on.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is rose-tinted glasses. Like I think my favorite generation is the fifth, which is the PS1 and N64. Even though like the 3D games on those systems have been vastly surpassed. Like they're really limited.
Do you think that like are we just old dudes, or just like games aren't like how we like them, how they were when we were kids? Like, or is there some sort of is there something important to the way that games were in the past that we're missing out on in the present? Or it's a hard question to answer, but
I guess just the simplicity of sticking a cartridge in and playing it immediately. But in terms of like the actual game you play, like there's nothing stopping people from releasing a very simple game. It's just that the marketing all goes to the big budget stuff, of course. But there's independent games like people have already brought up, and some people are even still making games for old consoles unofficially.
can you think of any games personally that you've played recently that evoke the older style of games, like something that you would have enjoyed in your childhood, or are those kind of gone?
I haven't really, because I haven't been playing too many games lately.
You don't need to.
But I'm sure they're
you've
out
got
there.
you've got the ROMs of all the older games already, so you don't need to find a new game that.
Oh yeah, but
evokes
you're
that.
asking about new games that evoke those feelings, right?
Right. Yes. If you can think of one.
Yeah, I can't right now, not off the top of my head.
And well, let me just bring this up then. Maybe this is something is when I was growing up, there was a whole different sort of a side path for gaming that was like flash games on the internet.
Oh, hell yeah.
Those games sort of reminded me most of the old old games like NES or SNES that I played when I was a kid, like that's where I was getting that feeling from more, was like Flash games I was playing on the internet. That's turned into a whole, those have kind of died.
Yeah, but I would call that like the dawn of the whole independent gaming movement. Because that was like the start of really like self-publishing, I guess, even though there wasn't really any money in it. Because
Yeah,
like
but
before
just-
that, you could have one person make a game, but you still had to like find a publisher to get it in stores and stuff. But with Flash, you could just put it up on Newgrounds and have
Right.
potentially millions of people play it.
Right, money is one thing, but just having people play your game is the other thing. It's like you could, in the past, if you made a game and you didn't find a publisher, nobody would ever play it ever. And that's...
Yeah, it would just fade into obscurity, and then it would probably like suffer bit rot on a 5 1/4 inch floppy disk.
Right. Whereas like in the early 2000s, people could make games that they weren't going to find a publisher for, but still anybody could play it for free, and it kind of it widened the audience a lot.
Yeah, I was actually sad when Flash died and like Apple and everyone was trying to get rid of it, because like the stuff that came after it to succeed, it wasn't the same. And like I appreciated the little things, like how you were having these vector-based animations on your screen that you could make them bigger and bigger, and it wouldn't be worse quality because it's not like how the videos on YouTube work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are a lot of indie game makers today, especially people who have made very, very successful, like money-making indie games that got their start making Flash games.
Yeah, I think the guy who started Newgrounds, Tom Fulp, I think he and another guy like actually published games after Newgrounds, didn't they? Like Alien Hominid.
Yeah.
And I think Castle Crashers.
There's really, there's really a lot of examples of that. There's a guy that I know who used to make Flash games like in high school and college, like since he was 14, and they were going on Newgrounds and sites like that, and that was like a training ground of just like being able to create a full game and have it be quote unquote published in the sense that people could actually play it. It was available. And then he went on to make very successful like independently published games. Like that was a real path for game makers now. It's weirder now. Newgrounds is still around, obviously, but like there's a different, I don't know, vibe generally to the internet. But
yeah, I mean it taught you how to program. Those skills transfer over to different languages. And have you ever used Flash?
Like to create something?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
I had, back in the day, I owned a pirated copy of Flash MX 2004, but I didn't get super far with it. Actually, I did finish a mobile game in college using Flash, and I was able to like export it to iPhone, but it kind of sucked. But anyway, what I was getting to is it used a language called ActionScript, which is, I think it's like based on the same thing as JavaScript is based on, and JavaScript is a massively popular language. I don't particularly like it, but it's very popular. And that's probably used in a lot of modern games today.
All right, well, thank you for calling in. Good to hear from you.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, we're going to call it for today. This is a fun stream. We're talking about gamers and gaming and game makers, game players. Thanks to everyone who called in. All the music from the stream has been from Pure MIDI Volume 1, which is put together by Toboki Gao, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we're just going to move on. If you go in the description of this video, you can find the link to this album, the Bandcamp link. It's a free album, so if you enjoyed the music from this stream, please download that album. I mean, it's free. Why not? And we'll be back in a week or two with the next stream. Thank you to everyone who called in. Have a good Saturday night. All right, bye.